China is the world's largest pork consumer with more than 44 million tons per year, and it is also the largest pork importer with about 1 million tons. The U.S. is one of the largest pork suppliers in China with a pork export industry worth $1.11 billion. However, recently, the tariff issue has become a terrible heat for U.S. meat exporting businesses when China retaliated by increasing import tariffs on meat products from this country. Will U.S. meat producers have an advantage when exporting pork to China? Let's find out now. 1. China is now an important market for the U.S. meat industry. In 2024, the country imported 590,000 tons of meat from the U.S., accounting for about 9% of China's total meat imports, becoming the second meat supplier to the country, after Brazil. In terms of the pork market alone, China accounts for 15% of the total volume of U.S. pork exports, notably when China receives 54% of the total U.S. offal exports. Pork exports would probably not have been affected much if the two powers had not engaged in a trade war, most notably the U.S. increasing tariffs on Chinese goods. And in return, China retaliated by increasing tariffs on many goods. As a result, China announced an 84% tariff on all imported goods from the U.S., including pork, in response to the U.S. increasing tariffs to 125% on Chinese goods. This has caused significant challenges for U.S. pork processors, including Smithfield Foods, one of the largest pork processors in the U.S. Although the company does not export large quantities of pork to China, it does export large quantities of products such as offal, pig heads, and pig feet. These products are not popular in the U.S., so if the tariffs are increased, they may have to destroy tons of pig offal, affecting the company's finances. Not only Smithfield Foods, but more than 1,000 pork producers in the U.S. that have been cooperating with China are facing the risk of losing the market in this country. According to the National Pork Producers Council, tariffs have a major impact on revenue, reducing hundreds of millions of dollars each year. Pork that cannot be exported will cause domestic pork prices to fall, and supply exceeding demand can lead to a pork market crisis in the U.S. Pork that is not exported on time is often stored in cold storage, leading to a high inventory of frozen meat in the U.S., reducing meat prices and affecting the entire processing industry. Therefore, the U.S. government and businesses are forced to expand to new markets such as Vietnam, South Korea, Colombia. But no market is large enough to make up for the gap from China. Pork exports from the U.S. to China have plummeted, leaving room for competitors such as Brazil, the EU, and Canada. It has also caused major fluctuations in the U.S. labor market. the U.S. pork industry employs millions of people in processing, farming and transport. Losing the Chinese market could put thousands of workers at risk of unemployment. Losing the Chinese market would also be a major blow to U.S. farmers. Some states such as Iowa, Northern California and Minnesota, which are home to large pig farms, have been hit hardest by the tariffs. American pig farmers are facing financial pressure and the risk of farm closure. While feed and production costs have not decreased, output has been squeezed, forcing many small and medium-sized farms to close. According to reports, there are about 50,000 small-scale pig farms operating across the states in the U.S., so if these farms are affected and forced to close, the consequences for the U.S. will be unpredictable. Tariffs put enormous pressure on livestock farmers, who may be forced to adopt cost-saving technologies or shift to more sustainable or specialized pork products to remain competitive. However, this adaptation will not happen overnight, so the U.S. pork market will still face many challenges. If U.S.-China trade relations do not improve, U.S. farmers will continue to face difficulties due to lack of outlets for pork and pork byproducts.
You may not know, raising black pigs can bring in an income of about $3,000 per month for Thai farmers. Each 95 to 105 kilogram pig can be sold for 7,000 to 7,500 baht, equivalent to $200 to $250, much higher than regular commercial pigs. So, why are black pigs so valuable? And why is the black pig farming industry developing strongly in Thailand? Watch today's video to find out the answer to this question. In the context of pork prices often falling sharply, affecting the income of many farming households, raising black pigs is a solution to improve the situation. Currently, some black pig breeds raised in Thailand have high productivity, such as Phetchabun, Durak, Meishan, Kurobuta. These pig breeds can be native pigs or crossbred from different black pig breeds, creating healthy, disease-resistant, and high-yielding pigs. Initially, black pigs were often raised by Thai farmers on a small scale at home, with a scale of a few to a few dozen pigs. They were mainly raised on leftover food and natural foods such as grains, vegetables, etc. Black pigs are considered easy to raise and adapt to living conditions, thereby limiting disease problems. The housing conditions when raising black pigs at households are quite simple. You can build a barn or fence to raise them. However, the common point of these breeding areas is that they are airy, spacious, and make the most of natural factors. In addition, using natural food, not using toxic chemicals, is also a method to increase the value of the pig herd. This breeding method makes black pork more delicious, containing many unsaturated fatty acids such as omega-3 and omega-6, which are beneficial for cardiovascular health. Although the time it takes to raise black pigs to sell may be longer than that of regular pig breeds, with the value it brings, farmers are still motivated to raise them. In addition to small-scale farming models, Thailand currently has many large-scale black pig farms, creating a large supply for the market. Some of the most successful localities with the black pig farming model are Chiang Mai, Chonburi, and Phetchabun, notably Kasem Santirat Farm with an area of nearly 9 hectares and Sirin Farm with an area of nearly 5 hectares. The farming model of large-scale farms is organic farming. Here, the farming process will be combined with crop cultivation. Black pigs will use available feed from the farm without using antibiotics. Building such a farm model not only takes advantage of the feed source, but also ensures the best quality of black pork. The farms are built on a large scale, equipped with IVA air conditioning systems to control temperature and humidity, and spacious barns create the best development environment for black pigs. Modern machinery systems help filter the air, thereby minimizing odor pollution, improving the community environment. The airy, spacious space helps pigs relax and grow healthily, thereby reducing the risk of disease. After birth, piglets stay with the sow for about 4 weeks, then will be brought back to the farm to fatten for about 5 months until they weigh about 120 kilograms. Finally, pigs that meet the standards will be brought to the processing plant and processed before being sold to the market. A closed, modern process also helps black pork products become the king of pork. The black pig farming industry in Thailand still has many opportunities because the market demand is increasing. In addition, people's farming is mainly small scale, so the annual output is not too large. Therefore, large-scale farms are considered to have great potential for development and bring high profit value. Although facing many challenges, such as fluctuating prices and epidemics, Thai people have found a new direction for the pig farming industry. This not only contributes to providing quality pork to consumers, but also creates a stable source of income for farmers. That is really the biggest motivation for them to continue raising pigs. Black pig farms in Thailand are not only food production sites, but also an important part of the local culture and economy. In the future, large-scale black pig farms in Thailand will continue to receive more investment, bringing positive values to the livestock industry. So, what do you think about this? Leave a comment to let us know. Raising black pigs has brought a significant source of income to farmers. Encouraging the raising of these pig breeds has helped Thailand become the home to the largest black pig farm in Southeast Asia. How to manage a herd of thousands of cows? This is a question that any farm owner wants to have an answer to because raising a large herd of cows is not easy and very costly. To solve this situation, some cattle farmers in the US have found a bold but extremely effective solution. So, right now, let's explore with us the most modern cattle raising method of American farmers. There are over 28 million cattle in the United States, many of which roam freely across vast tracts of land in the American West. Managing large numbers of cattle roaming thousands of acres is not an easy task, as it is time-consuming and requires a lot of physical effort. Traditional methods of herding, such as horseback riding, are ineffective, as farmers must spend hours moving cattle between grazing areas, monitoring each animal, and ensuring none stray or get hurt. To meet these challenges, American farmers have begun to use helicopters as a tool to manage their free-range cattle. After a period of applying helicopters to herd cattle, American farmers have realized the advantages that this method brings. First, helicopters can cover large areas of land in a fraction of the time it would take with other methods. This is especially useful when monitoring cattle in difficult terrain such as mountains, forests, or wetlands. With a bird's-eye view, American farmers can get a bird's-eye view of the landscape and monitor the status of their cattle, directing them to specific pasture areas. One of the most essential things when raising free-range cattle is precision. Helicopters have used GPS technology, allowing farmers to see the entire herd and predict potential problems, such as when the herd moves too far or some animals stray from the herd. In addition, aerial observation also helps farmers detect sick or injured cows. Early detection can prevent spread disease in the herd and ensure sick cows received prompt veterinary care. Many people think that using helicopters for livestock farming is very expensive because it requires a large initial cost for many farmers. But the long-term benefits make it a valuable tool for large-scale livestock farming operations. With just a one-time investment, American farmers can use helicopters for a long time and save on labor costs, thus reaping profits in the long run. Furthermore, the ability to manage the herd quickly and accurately also ensures healthier, safer, and more productive animals. Healthy cows produce better quality meat and milk, which increases farm profits. Once the cows are ready for slaughter, they are gathered by helicopter to staging areas and transported to the meat processing plant. The cows are inspected before slaughter to ensure they are healthy. Inside the processing plant is a systematic and strictly managed process, ensuring that beef products are safe for consumers. Animals are humanely anesthetized before slaughter, minimizing stress, be straightforward, and ensure compliance with ethical standards. After the slaughtering process, each beef carcass is cut in half by machine and chilled for 34 to 48 hours to cool and prevent bacteria from growing. This process helps preserve the freshness and quality of the meat. After 48 hours, the beef carcass is divided into main parts such as ribs, loin, and shoulder, and the beef bones are also removed. Skilled meat cutters or automated machines will carefully separate the meat from the bones, ensuring precise cuts. The beef is then graded based on a number of factors, including marbling, color, and tenderness. Higher grades are often sold as premium cuts, while others may be processed into sausages, bacon, or lunch meat. The final step in the processing plant is packaging, where the beef is vacuum sealed to extend its shelf life or sold fresh. The beef is then transported to grocery stores or supermarkets before reaching consumers. Throughout the processing process, hygiene is paramount, so equipment needs to be cleaned regularly and workers need to follow strict procedures to prevent contamination and ensure the highest quality products reach consumers. This also makes American beef products prestigious in the international market. The video ends here. How do you feel? Leave your comments below to let us know. Welcome to our channel. Today, we will explore a traditional Chinese village where handmade charcoal production has existed for centuries. Traditional charcoal production not only brings income to farmers, but also crystallizes the culture of ancient villages. Don't take your eyes off the video to not miss interesting information. Charcoal making in China has existed for a long time, an indispensable part of the culture and life of many villages. Before gas became popular, every household had to rely on wood or charcoal to make fire. Today, although the demand for charcoal has decreased, the charcoal making profession still exists, thanks to the passion of those who want to preserve the tradition. The characteristic of traditional charcoal making villages is that the charcoal kiln is built of bricks or stones, forming a solid dome shape. The charcoal kiln consists of two main parts, the combustion chamber and the smoldering chamber, connected by heat pipes. The gaps in the kiln must be fixed and sealed with mud. The charcoal kiln must also have a kiln door to put in raw materials and take out charcoal, along with a chimney to discharge smoke and dissipate heat. To protect the kiln body from damage by rain and wind, farmers will arrange the kiln house and cover it above. To create quality charcoal products, choosing the type of wood is a prerequisite. Hardwood is often preferred because it produces high-quality charcoal. For example, acacia charcoal, popular in early Taiwan, is suitable for spicy grilled dishes such as wild boar. Longan charcoal, which is hard and dense, can maintain a long burning time, is smokeless at high temperatures, and has a light fruity smell. Mahogany charcoal, which is often used for seafood, is also harder and burns longer. Oak charcoal can be stored for a long time and has many uses such as fuel, grilling food, dehumidifying, etc. Finally, bamboo charcoal, which is porous and has strong absorption, is used to remove dirt, prevent moisture, and deodorize. After being cut into short pieces, the wood is left to dry for a period of time. The small branches will be used as fuel to burn the charcoal. Once prepared, the wood is moved into the kiln and stacked tightly inside. The stacking of the wood requires careful attention to ensure even heat conduction during the burning process. This is a laborious task, as the farmer has to transport a lot of wood to fill this giant kiln. The kiln door is then sealed with bricks and mud, leaving only a small opening for the fire to be lit. The kiln will burn continuously for several days, depending on the type of wood and how dry the tree is. Some types of wood only take about 10 days to turn into charcoal, while mangrove wood can take up to 32 days. During this time, the farmer must maintain the fire 24 hours a day to ensure the charcoal burning process goes smoothly. The charcoal burning process requires careful observation. The smoke from the kiln will gradually change from black to gray, white, clear blue, and smokeless. This is when the fire must be stopped and the kiln sealed to allow the carbonization process to take place. After that, it takes about 2 weeks for the kiln to cool naturally before the workers can take out the coal. The whole process from starting the kiln to taking out the coal takes about 30 to 45 days. When the kiln is opened, the temperature inside is usually very high. The working environment is extremely harsh, hot, and dusty. The coal after being taken out needs to be screened, because not every batch produces good quality coal. Too big a fire will lead to too much carbonization, while too small a fire will not be enough to completely carbonize. If the coal core is dark, yellow, and bright, it means that the carbonization process is complete and the quality is good. On the contrary, dark gray indicates that the wood is not completely carbonized and is prone to producing black smoke, resulting in poor quality coal. Every step in the process requires meticulousness and precision, from maintaining the temperature in the kiln to checking the color and the quality of the charcoal. Charcoal production not only brings income to the people, but also has a significant impact on the environment. These craft villages often develop sustainably by planting new trees to replace the ones that have been exploited. The charcoal market is still very vibrant, with many demands from culinary and industrial uses. However, the focus needs to be on protecting the environment and finding ways to reduce emissions. Although the advent of modern technology and equipment has greatly affected the traditional charcoal production profession, many charcoal kilns still exist as cultural icons and tourist attractions. Did you know that garlic was once shunned by British and American cultures because its pungent smell lingered even after meals? However, by the late 1900s, the United States had emerged as the garlic capital of the world. About 24,000 acres of garlic were grown each year, yielding a total of about 400 million pounds. Large-scale factories and farms were once the pride of their country. So, what happened to the industry? Why did the million-dollar garlic factories close? Join me in today's video to find out the truth. The story of garlic in America begins in the early 1890s, when immigrants from Southern Europe arrived in California's Santa Clara Valley. With fertile soil and a mild climate, garlic quickly became a staple in vegetable gardens. However, it wasn't until early 1929 that commercial garlic cultivation really took off, and the largest garlic farms were born. The garlic industry has emerged as a national phenomenon, bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue for farmers. California is the largest producer of garlic in the United States, with 90% of the country's garlic grown and processed here. The smell of garlic wafts through the towns, so you can easily recognize this as a large-scale garlic processing area. In the United States, garlic is usually planted in the fall, in carefully plowed and prepared raised beds. The timing of planting is extremely important. Plant early enough so that the soil does not freeze before the root system develops, but late enough that they do not emerge from the ground. According to statistics, there are hundreds of varieties of garlic grown in the United States, but the most common on farms are California early and California late. The garlic cloves will be planted about 1.5 inches deep. On large-scale farms, garlic planting is mainly done with specialized transplanters, which optimizes time and effort. Garlic takes about 9 months to grow and is ready to harvest when 40 to 60% of the leaves turn yellow, usually around mid-July. On some farms, garlic can be harvested by hand, but modern farms today often use automated machinery for greater efficiency. From the field, garlic is cleaned and transported to the processing plant, where sorting and packaging take place. Typically, garlic is sold by the pound, by the vine, or by the bulb. However, dried garlic accounts for about 75% of garlic consumed in the United States, so dried garlic processing plants are becoming more popular. Modern high-capacity machinery ensures that garlic is supplied to both domestic and export markets. One of the largest and most famous garlic producers in the United States is Gilroy, California. It even holds an annual garlic festival to celebrate this valuable crop. And you may not know it, April 19th is that anniversary. While once the garlic capital of the world, the US garlic industry has lost that status. By 1990, Chinese garlic had flooded the US market with about 60 million pounds. This imported garlic was about 4 times cheaper than American garlic, which severely affected the industry. Although the US government raised tariffs to curb the impact of Chinese garlic, many garlic farms closed. Half of California's largest garlic packing plants have disappeared in the past decade. In just a few months, the amount of cheap garlic imported into the United States is nearly equal to the annual production of Christopher Ranch, the largest garlic packing plant in the country. In addition, a shortage of workers has caused garlic farms to shrink. Therefore, their only solution to this problem is to increase wages for workers. This also leads to increased labor costs, affecting profits and decisions to develop farms. All these factors have pushed large-scale garlic farms and factories in the United States into an unprecedented, difficult situation. The garlic industry in the United States is no longer as dominant as it once was. But in this situation, farmers still find a ray of hope. New directions have been implemented to increase profits, as the average American consumes 2.5 pounds of garlic per year. One of the most popular trends today is organic garlic production. With health awareness and changing consumption habits, consumers are increasingly paying attention to the quality and safety of products. Therefore, many farms are also applying organic garlic growing techniques to meet this demand. Therefore, there are special garlic products priced up to $1 per bulb. In addition, increasing modern machinery and equipment and reducing labor are also effective ways to increase productivity and limit costs. Farms are gradually focusing on product quality. It is predicted that garlic production in the United States will continue to increase in the coming years. This is a positive signal for garlic factories to recover and develop in the future. Do you think the U.S. garlic production and processing industry will regain its glory? Please share your opinion in the comments section. Hello everyone! Surely when mentioning paper, we often only think of books, newspapers, or notebooks in daily life. But few people know that paper is an indispensable part of Chinese culture and history. A country with a tradition of papermaking spanning thousands of years. So, what is special about traditional Chinese paper, and how do craftsmen produce it? Today, let's explore the interesting secrets of these traditional papermaking workshops. Chinese handmade paper was born more than 2,000 years ago, an important invention of China, helping to preserve and spread culture. Initially, paper was made from hemp and animal skin, but gradually, bamboo became the main material. Chinese handmade paper not only serves the field of calligraphy, but is also used in many fields such as printing, packaging, hygiene, and worship. If you think that making paper is simply chopping up pulp and drying it, then you are wrong. Each stage requires patience, creativity, and high skills of the craftsman. They have to carry out each step meticulously so that each sheet of paper is a work of art. Let's imagine a day as a papermaker. The first step is to prepare the raw materials: bamboo, mulberry bark, and sandalwood. All must be soaked in an alkaline solution to remove the glue. This is an extremely important step, helping the paper to be flexible and not hard, like an old advertisement. After the raw materials have been soaked for enough time, the worker begins to grind them into powder. Previously, this step was quite hard, having to be pounded by hand continuously, but now there are machines to support, much faster and more convenient. Next, the powder is put into large water tanks, stirred into a viscous liquid. The worker will use wooden molds and bamboo mats to scoop the powder, creating a thin layer of paper like sushi wrapper paper. But this is not an easy step. It must be extremely skillful. The paper must be even, not lumpy. Otherwise, it will create a finished product that everyone wants to throw away. After having a thin layer of paper, it is time to press to remove excess water and make the paper flexible. This is the step that helps the paper survive the drying stage afterwards without tearing like old sheets of paper. Finally, the paper will be dried in the sun or dried in a drying room. These dried papers are usually very durable and can be used for a century without rotting. And if you want to do it quickly, some places use ovens to steam the paper quickly. You might think that Chinese handmade paper is only for small books, right? Oh no! Factories also produce giant sheets of paper. These giant sheets of paper are often used for special purposes, such as high-end art products or religious ceremonies. Surely when you see them, you will not imagine that handmade paper can be so big. Although Chinese handmade paper is still used in many fields, the production of handmade paper is gradually decreasing. What is the reason? The younger generation is increasingly leaving the countryside to find work in the city, putting this craft at risk of extinction. Paper-making areas are often located in remote rural areas with difficult transportation and difficult to find young workers. Despite many difficulties, many localities are still making efforts to preserve traditional handmade papermaking. Paper museums and cultural villages, such as the Sichuan Handmade Paper Museum and the Chinese Traditional Papermaking and Printing Cultural Village, not only protect this craft but also develop tourism, helping to raise public awareness of the cultural value of handmade paper. Chinese handmade paper still holds an important place in calligraphy, painting, and high-end handicrafts. In recent years, programs to preserve and revive traditional crafts have been vigorously implemented. The government and private organizations are working together to improve the quality and protect the unique values of handmade paper. Have you ever wondered how MSG crystals, a familiar spice in everyday meals, are produced? You will surely be surprised to know that the raw material to create this unique spice is cassava root. From vast cassava farms, through modern manufacturing processes, and finally to the MSG packets in your kitchen, it's been a fascinating journey. Join me as I explore the cassava farms of Thailand and journey to MSG factories. The journey of MSG begins with large cassava farms. Here, Thai farmers will choose quality cassava varieties that are suitable for the soil type to increase productivity. For example, Rayong 9 cassava is suitable for loose sandy soil, Cassava 72 cassava is suitable for clay soil, and Hoai Bong 80 cassava is suitable for loose soil. Each year, Thailand produces an average of more than 20 million tons of cassava, becoming the second largest producer in the world, and exporting 70% of its output abroad. Cassava has brought high income to farmers, but the process of growing cassava is not easy. The journey of MSG begins with large cassava farms. Here, Thai farmers will choose quality cassava varieties that are suitable for the soil type to increase productivity. For example, Rayong 9 cassava is suitable for loose sandy soil, Cassava 72 cassava is suitable for clay soil, and Hoai Bong 80 cassava is suitable for loose soil. Each year, Thailand produces an average of more than 20 million tons of cassava, becoming the second largest producer in the world, and exporting 70% of its output abroad. Cassava has brought high income to farmers, but the process of growing cassava is not easy. Before planting, farmers must prepare the land and seedlings. Healthy cassava plants, 10 to 12 months old, will be selected as seedlings. Previously, farmers had to plant cassava manually. Each seedling had about 5 to 7 buds for the plant to grow. First, people had to spray pesticides and root stimulants on the seedlings. Nowadays, most farms use cassava planting machines to make this process faster and more efficient. Cassava plants will be planted vertically on the bed, keeping a depth of about 10 to 15 centimeters. The distance between plants must be at least 80 to 100 centimeters. A special note is that the planting bed must be narrow and sharp, because about 4 to 5 months after planting, the cassava tubers will develop and risk emerging from the ground. After planting, large cassava fields are often watered with a drip system, both ensuring the right amount of water for the plants and saving time. In the first 1 to 3 months, farmers will water every 2 to 3 days. After that, just water once a week, each time for 2 to 4 hours. After about 8 to 12 months of planting and care, the ivory white cassava tubers are ready to harvest. Before starting to harvest, farmers will stop watering for 1 month to ensure the soil is dry, helping to increase productivity, and the cassava tubers produce a lot of starch at the right rate. On large farms, the use of cassava harvesting machines is becoming more popular. First, farmers will cut the entire cassava stem about 20 centimeters from the ground. These cassava stems will be kept as seedlings for the next crop. They then use modern cassava harvesting machines, moving along the rows to harvest. After harvesting, fresh cassava roots must be brought to the factory within 2 days to avoid damage and reduce starch content. The secret to getting quality cassava roots is to harvest around December to March of the following year, when cassava has a high starch content. Harvesting is usually not done around April to June because the plants develop young leaves and have little starch. From the lush green farms, cassava is transported to the factory, where the complex MSG production process begins. The largest MSG factory in Thailand is currently Ajinomoto. The cassava roots are crushed and extracted to obtain starch. First, the cassava starch and molasses are extracted into glucose and put into a fermentation tank. Then, fermenting bacteria are added. These bacteria consume the glucose, releasing glutamic acid. Through neutralization, the glutamic acid is converted into a solution containing MSG. The mixture is then decolorized and filtered, resulting in a pure MSG solution. Next, the solution is put into an evaporator to obtain solid crystals. During the MSG production process, modern equipment helps optimize the process, controlling the temperature, humidity, and fermentation time precisely. Finally, the crystals are dried to create the final product, MSG. These products will then be packaged and distributed to the market. MSG is a flavor-rich seasoning known as the purest form of umami. It is widely used in the food industry to enhance flavor. In particular, MSG can partially replace salt, reducing sodium intake by up to 1/3. Initially, MSG was mainly associated with Asian cuisine, but it is now used worldwide to add a delicious flavor to dishes. Currently, Asia supplies about 93% of the world's MSG production, including Thailand and other countries such as China, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Taiwan. Cassava cultivation to supply MSG processing factories has brought a stable income to millions of Thai farmers, while contributing to the development of the national economy. Millions of tons of MSG are produced annually to meet domestic consumption and export demand. In addition, byproducts from the process of harvesting and processing cassava into MSG also have many benefits. Farmers can use these substances to fertilize crops, creating a beneficial cycle.